Okay, we are live.
Hey there. Well, first of all, welcome everybody who is connected and it's coming to our live broadcast. This is the first time that we in Guadalajara are doing. Let me introduce the team and everyone present here as myself. So this is Startup Grind, and this is a collaboration that we're doing between Guadalajara in Mexico and the Universidad Católica in Italy, in Milan, and where we have the chapter director, Beatriz, and myself, Martin Moscosa, that we are here trying to welcome you. This time we have from Mexico, Laura from Tec de Monterrey, who is in charge of the entrepreneurship school at Tec de Monterrey and taking the overall region in the center. Also, I would like to tell you a little bit more about Daniel Caso and all the expertise that you have on the technology and innovation sector from Italy. We were just hearing that he has some experience with Latin American as well, living in Bolivia, which is great, and we are happy to hear. The intent for this conference and for anyone who is new at Startup Grind, our intention and our mission is to inspire, connect, and educate others. And especially in this time and era that we are all living, it's very similar, the crisis and the challenges that we were living. So for this time, Beatriz and I wanted to put together something that will help and allow us to evaluate the overall contrast between what's happening in Mexico and Italy as two of the countries that has been we've been hearing more in the war, in the media, in the news for the current pandemic. So without any further ado, I would like to give them a big round of applause if you can from your house and your homes, because it's something they're doing this pro bono. They're giving us their time for free. So if you can just thank them, you can see on the website, and we'll give you the links on to their social media, so you can just thank them and for the time that they're giving. Bea, if I don't know if you want to say something to add on that introduction.
Just thank you for the collaboration, and also thank you, Laura and Daniele, for these opportunities, amazing opportunity. And yes, we can start. Laura, do you want to tell us something about your job and about your incubator?
Sure. Well, thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you for the opportunity. So, well, good day, everyone. I'm going to present myself. Well, my name, as I say, is Laura. Right now, I'm part of a university. The university is called Tecnológico de Monterrey. It's one of the biggest universities, I will say, in Latin America, and with a really strong leadership, I think, in entrepreneurship. So to talk a little bit about my professional background, I have a major in industrial design. I have also an MBA. I have been an entrepreneur myself with a design studio that is called La Jabonera. Right now, I live in Querétaro. Querétaro is another city different from the one that Martin is right now, that is Guadalajara. But also we have collaborated a lot in different activities in order to promote the entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystems in these different cities. So right now, my current job at the university is actually to help entrepreneurs in their path, and that's we have different programs, different events, different ways to articulate the ecosystem, and that's a specific department that we call entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystem area, something like that. In Spanish will be like Zona EI. So I'm in charge of that department, specifically in the center of the country. So I'm really glad to be here just to learn and to talk and to see which experiences we can share.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much. Daniel, would you like to give us 2 minutes to have a better picture of who you are and what you've been doing?
With pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to share some ideas in these complicated times. And my name is Daniele Caso. I'm the managing director of a company called e-Electron. We are placed in Italy, near Milano. We do electronics. Basically, it's products for automating buildings, hospitals, schools, universities, and homes, also residential, hotels. So we are in this field, in the automation field. We are born in 1994, so Electron is a family company. I got it from my father-in-law, and I'm managing it since 15 years now, probably. We do our products here in Italy and we sell them all over the world in 76, 78 countries now, probably. We have offices in Dubai, in China, and in Italy, and that's it. We are manufacturers, so we are producing, developing our products, and that's it.
Well, that is great, and guess a big responsibility for the overall family heritage and trying to grow this for quite some times already. 1994 to this 2020, there have been more than one crisis globally, and particularly to Italy. So I'm guessing you've gathered some experience from that side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Particularly for our generation, we got a couple. Right.
so that's what we'll talk. To understand a little bit more, and you mentioned that you have some offices and operations in Dubai, China, Italy, and other parts of the world. So you're quite global, and you have quite some presence in terms of manufacturing. But I understand that also Laura from the academia in Tec de Monterrey, you mentioned is one of the biggest in probably Latin America, Tec de Monterrey, and you also work in a very particular way, the whole overall organization, right? Would you care, Laura, to explain a little bit more as to how Tec de Monterrey it works and what's the national panorama, so our audience can understand a little bit more when we deep dive, so where our data is coming?
Yeah, sure. I prepared like 3 or 4 slides, so maybe I can share my screen. Let's see if it works.
Okay.
You can see my screen?
Yes,
Right?
it's working.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it.
So I promise this is a really short introduction, but Martin and Beatriz told me that maybe it will be good, so I could share a little bit of the context of the university. So on this first slide, Tecnológico de Monterrey was founded in 1943. And for you to have an idea, well, this is a map of Mexico as a country, and where you see these small pink dots, are like, those are our 26 campuses. And it's a big university because we have more than 90,000 students currently. That means, for example, that now that we are giving all the virtual sessions, that means that weekly, so you can have an idea, we have like more than 55,000 classes weekly. So that's a big challenge. That's a big community also. And something that we are really passionate about is about our vision. As you can see there, like our 2030 vision is about leadership, innovation, and entrepreneurship for human flourishing. So this means that we believe that through innovation and through entrepreneurship, we could actually be better humans, and we could find better ways of solving problems. So something really particular of this university, as Martin said, is the way we work. And also, it's very particular that the high leadership that we went or we have around the entrepreneurship discipline. So, for example, I just want to give you 1 or 2 numbers that are on the right side. Apologies for the Spanish, but I will say 2 numbers just. The number 8 that you see there is because recently we have achieved the number 8 position in another ranking, an entrepreneurship ranking that it's called Princeton Review. For us, that was really important. And the 41% you see in there, it's like 41% of our alumni, the ones that already are graduated, own their own company. So for us, it's a big responsibility, but also a big commitment how to help this community actually to have their own ventures in entrepreneurship. So specifically, the place where I work and I love it is the entrepreneurship ecosystem, as I told you before. And well, just for you to know, this is the center, the region that I am in charge of. And what you see in the right side, that schema, tries to tell a little bit about the story of what we have to do in this department. So at the center, you see Zona EE, that's the name of this area, of this department, and we are just enablers of the ecosystem. I was remembering something about innovation, and there is a concept called orchestration, and it says that sometimes you can innovate through orchestrate different resources. So this area, this special department is something like that. We orchestrate different resources, different programs, different events. We also have some physical spaces that are co-working spaces, allies, in order to help entrepreneurs in their path. So we are part of a place inside the University called Institute of Entrepreneurship, and it's the place where we can manage these different programs and communities in order to give tools to the entrepreneurs so they can move forward with their venture. So here you just see another graphic, but what we want to share is that in our experience, entrepreneurship is not something linear and it's not the same for everyone. So everyone will kind of make their own path inside this big graphic, but we have learned some things in the way, some specific points that if we believe that if we could have more trained entrepreneurs and we can give those entrepreneurs more tools, then maybe they will be able to be faster on their way from the idea to actually having a business. So we have different programs. What you see at the bottom part of the screen are the names of those programs. TechLean is actually the name we give the programs of the business incubator, as Beatriz told you, that I'm part of this infrastructure. And also, this is the last slide that I want to share with you, because I know that some of the questions and some of the ideas that we're going to talk about is actually how we have to evolve ourselves in this specific time of the pandemic and of this specific context of COVID-19. So something that has been really interesting is this initiative that we started nationally. And it has been really interesting because we used to work a lot, as you saw in the previous slides, like in regions, like in each of us articulating their own campuses. And right now, this situation, this virtual world, actually has erased a lot of boundaries, even for us inside our institution. So with those boundaries that they are not longer exist, we have had the chance to start new initiatives like this one that it's called Series, now with a national impact. So these are different webinars, maybe like this one, but with some specific concepts or tools that help not only our community, not only for students and professors, but those are open to the general public with a lot of allies, with a lot of help. So we are really, really starting to understand how we can create more value outside actually using this kind of technology. So for us, it has been really interesting. 11 campuses have been broadcasting. We have had the fortune to reach more than 7 countries, 52 cities. And what you see in the right side are actually the different topics that we have talked about, and we are learning in this process. It's also been a challenge for us to have suddenly our programs in a virtual way, and also how we keep in touch with the different entrepreneurs, how we help them in this virtual form, but also we're learning a lot of different ways to achieve these goals inside the university. I don't know, Martin, if this gives a general background. Let me stop sharing.
Yep.
Do you have any
questions?
Continue. Everything cool? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Laura, for this amazing presentation. Really, it's a great opportunity for us, for the audience, to know the Mexican startup ecosystem. So thank you. I would like to ask you both, Daniel and Laura, a question. What did you do? We all know that we are in like a difficult period, and I would like to know, what did you do in order to face the emergency and adapt your industry to the situation?
Please.
Maybe Daniele, you can start if you want.
Oh, mademoiselle first, or madam, I don't know. Okay.
Who's going to start?
Who's going first?
Well, if I can start, Daniel, then you can go. But something we have, Beatriz, as you asked, it was like what we have to change in this time, right? What we have to do in order to be able to continue generating value. Well, of course, the thing about new tools and digitalization has been one of our priorities. But also, I think in another way to answer the question is that this special situation has made us to rethink a lot about the value that we give to our different publics. So because we first have to think about which is really the value that we want to give, and after that we found a better way to do it in the digital with the digital tools. We also have had maybe to stop doing some things, but the main thing is not to lose the important. In this case, in the entrepreneurship programs we run, one of the main values was about the mentorship, and another was about connections, and also the content that we do. And also we are in a really kind of interesting spot because we are near those small businesses that are also having some struggles right now. So we asked ourselves how we could create value, and now we are also starting to have new programs for them to give them some new tools in order to have better solutions in this time and in this particular situation. Daniel, your turn.
Daniel.
Yeah, well, let's say if we are talking about what we did for the emergency, and let's say what were the adaptation to the situation, basically it was a fast move to two main things. It was dividing the company in two, where there was all the people that were able to work from home that were going home, and the production were still there. So we had, first of all, to make take all the measurements for the safety. So let's say from masks to measuring the temperature to dividing people in different environments, etc. So this was the first thing, and it was very important to me because I had to assure the people a safe staying, and even a good relaxing environment, not only safe. And we succeeded. And then the second thing was to send the people home to work from home. It was relatively easy today where we have all the instruments to make this, but it was a very interesting experience uh, because of, there was two main things. One was that at the end of the day, if you are always working from home, you have to organize yourself to do it. So you have to, let's say, start to share documents instead of talking in front of the coffee machine, or to plan meetings. And this this was an experience for everybody, I believe. So I must say that somehow we enjoyed the fact of being able to do it. We were happy to realize that we were able to work totally also from home. And the second point is that my colleagues has been doing this more than me. So I was very proud of the people, of how they were reacting, because it's not only to go home and open a browser. You also have to be organized, connect all the tools, and everybody, shared emails, shared the spaces for files, connection from remote to the same instruments you were using before. So there were a lot of activities in a couple of days, and everybody has been joining this in a very positive, proactive way. So it was. I'm very proud of this experience, let's say, and these are the first things that we did to face the emergency.
That is great that both the industry and the academia have both managed to adapt to this new situation. And I'm sure, I mean, we're talking to a technology company which has been working with technology, software, and tools. So making the adoption was a little bit easier, I want to believe. And also the academia or Tec de Monterrey, from what we're hearing, is one of the most innovative in terms of trying to implement new technology. So the technology is there, the software, all the platforms, but you also are dealing with people and you're dealing with customer. Daniel, you mentioned that you're talking, many of your clients are homeowners or the academia or hospitals, and you have a lot of presence all around the world. How has the new situation has changed? Because internally, that's great. Your team and Laura's team, they divided the regions to become one big region and have the series. So those are great approaches, but how has it changed when you deal with people? Because on paper, it looks really nice. And when you know that it's going to be for 1 week or 2 weeks or a month, that's great. But now we've been doing this for almost 2 months in Italy, a month in Mexico, and probably it's going to be a little bit more extended a little bit longer. How has your product or the work changed, and how do you see it changing in the future?
Well, during these days, it's strange somehow because the people, the clients are not there, but you have to connect to them. And so before you were doing actions, you were going and visiting them and uh, talk with them. Now you have to plan the same kind of actions. So you can also do it for more than one client. So we were one of the first company to do webinars. That doesn't mean one webinar means a, a planning of webinars every day and organized in a certain way to be understood from the people. And so the communication has been changing somehow in a more effective way, I must say, even. So we were organizing activities to connect to the clients in an active way. The people are more, let's say, available to join some activities. That's very interesting also. And we we have been planning immediately those actions. So the first thing was to plan a certain calendar to go from one step to the other and to share it with everybody. So people were happy to join, and there is a bit less of background noise. So you don't have you do what you want to do, and the same for your clients. There's nobody rushing into your office and because he's visiting somebody else taking 1 hour from your time. So it's very efficient. So that's very good. um, I believe that you need a very good organization. You need to focus to do this, and it has to be it has to last for some time because you cannot do this forever. At a certain point, you need to involve also your clients from another point of view. You need motivation, which is not so easy to arrange from remote. But overall, let's say from the selling or training technical people from remote, from that point of view, it was okay. From the production point of view, it was more complicated. There are logistical matters, cost matters, because now airplane fees for shipments are much higher. You have a lot of delays. So let's say we had to arrange immediately a certain level of stock to be able to have the material there and deliver it. I mean, it's complicated. It's complicated. but let's say it has also given us a good lesson on planning, documentation, and organizing uh, events to the clients in an active way, and not only just going there and visit them, which was something that a lot of us was doing much more before than now.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I
Same
think,
story
Laura.
in
yeah, and I
tech.
was thinking about what you all said, and it was really interesting for me that you said, actually, I agree, no? The level of planning and of organization now is a little bit more because you need to plan every meeting. But at the same time, it's something interesting how it has to live in the same world. That at the same time you have to be flexible because you have to plan a little bit more maybe, but also there are a lot of things that are not in your hands, and at the same time you have to find a way to solve those problems maybe in a different way because I think it's kind of like if the rules of the game suddenly change a little bit. So it was really interesting for me hearing Daniel to say this part because I agree, and also the part you said about training. Maybe it's not the same kind of training, but for the institution at least, uh, from one week to another, the institution, well, when I say institution, I mean the university, had suddenly to train more than 9,000 professors nationally, so they could go virtual, online. And maybe we were not all having the same sets of knowledge about the different tools. So this thing you mentioned about how we work different, how we have to plan a little bit different, how we have to respond a little bit different to the problems we get, and also the challenge for the organization to also develop new capabilities in their own teams. I think it's something really interesting that this time is kind of confronting us, right? So I think those were really interesting points.
I think that one of the things that happened to me was that before the crisis, like 3 weeks before, we did a reorganization and we have been making a clear picture on who was the leader of every team. So I have been appreciating a lot also the capability of the leadership that
Mhm.
you need to have into a company, and that it was not so clear before, to be honest, in my company. But we were making it very clear at a certain point, and this was very useful because if you have to work from remote, you need to make groups and you need to have leaders over the groups, with the groups that organize those activities. So you can do it if you have a good organization. When I'm talking about leadership, I'm not saying that, the boss. I'm talking about having an organization able to deploy activities. This is very important for the entrepreneurs that has to do a
Yeah,
company.
and actually, what you said about leadership, I think it connects a lot with what Martin said, because you, Martin, were asking us a little bit about the people side, right? The person, the kind of, yeah, and I agree, Daniel. And also, as you say, well, we work a lot with entrepreneurs and we try to provide them with the skills of being good leaders, yeah, to have a good leadership. But it's really interesting because it's quite a topic, and it has a lot to do also with the person, and the person has to be in a good emotional place and also to know their role in their organization or maybe in their own business. So there are a lot of things connected, and actually, yes, it has a lot to do with the people itself.
So you both said that all of your team and employees were like very flexible to manage and to face this situation. But how do you think your way of producing or also your way of working will be different after this pandemic? Because now, like you change a lot of things, but how is going to work then?
Well, in our case, I think we are going to be more open in some cases to work a little bit more virtually. For example, We used to have each campus their own workshops, their own kind of events, their own, I don't know, congress, things like that. And I think that although we really enjoy being in presence with each other, we also have kind of erased those boundaries and also some of the paradigms about this virtual working. So I think we are going to be a little bit more open to try new things in this virtual way in order to nurture the experience, in our case, of our students or maybe of our entrepreneurs. So I think that's going to stay. Maybe not all the time, no, all the activities, but I think it already opened a door about, for example, now we can talk with you and you are in Italy and we're in Mexico and it's easy. So, and
Yeah.
this kind of interactions, why we didn't done that before in a regular form, I don't know, once a month or something like that. And why we didn't put that in the available of everyone. So these kind of small things that can have big impact, I think that we are going to start to, actually, I think we are going to continue to have those kind of experiences without leaving the local part and the presential part.
What do you think, Daniel?
Well, um, well, let's say I hope to be. My way will be different after the pandemic. I hope that things will slow down, but in any case, at the moment it's different in terms of complications related to production, as I said. So supply chain, that might be complicated, but so you need a longer planning on what you're doing. From the commercial and research and development point of view, you need to be organized. You need to work on productivity, sharing documents, make plans, make productive meetings, which is also something very important, because on a conference call you can stay 45 minutes. We did a research development team meeting that was 2 hours, but more than this it's really impossible. But I must say that at the end of the day, we need also to raise some motivation. So we need to have a contact with the people somehow. We need to have also some distressing time with them to share ideas, and that's very important. And then uh, I think that we still have to look at the business. So now, for instance, we can think about some specific products for COVID. So we work on space tracking for people tracking air quality on buildings, office buildings. So this is a business and also a need of the people that we can deliver. So we immediately started to do something on that sense. But in any case, you always have to think about the mission of your company, what you need to do in 3 years, what's the next thing you need to deliver to the market. So at the end of the day, our job is still the same. It's the instrument which change, and also the environment, but hopefully not too much, let's say.
That's very strong, very true and very strong. One of the headlines I've been reading constantly is that people are waiting for things to go back to normal. Do you think, or are you waiting from your particular positions? Are you hoping that things go back to normal, or do you believe that there's going to be a new normal and we need to adapt?
There is a new normal. I mean, we have learned a lot of things, and some of these are positive, so we will keep them. I believe that my staff will keep working from remote if they want. Maybe not all the weeks, but it will be much more flexible than it was before. Because before nobody was thinking about it. Not me,
Mhm.
not the others, and we didn't even try it so much. So now we were obliged to try, and it works. So this will change. Uh, the value of being, let's say, local supplier is important. So we are here and we are delivering also our market. We have always been doing like 65% in the export, but I believe that because it was a totally globalized world, so this might change also a bit in terms of philosophy of the people, understanding that they have to be near to their supply chain to avoid some risk. And on our side, we are looking also to multiply our presence to be global in a different way, let's say. So yeah, it will change, but not forcefully in a bad way. And I hope to keep the best of this time and to leave the worst.
You can start from Mexico.
Yes. Happy to hook you up and connect you.
Pleasure.
For sure, I agree with that. Now we have a new normal, right? I agree with this kind of the flexibility that maybe some virtual work is going to have. And for me, it was really interesting this phrase you said about the specific products. Well, in our case, we have more like a service, but we have also developed some specific products that it's kind of new programs because there are new needs in our market that it's kind of the entrepreneurship ecosystem, right? So, for example, we are developing new programs in order to help those entrepreneurs in this specific time. But also, I think also these needs or new opportunities that are being that are being kind of released. It's also some of the things that our own entrepreneurs are looking, like how to find these new or specific products or services that attend these new needs that suddenly are being just seen, because maybe we before it was like, oh, okay, it's going to be a good idea to make, I don't know, a digital tool for mind mapping. But now it's the time for try it because everyone is there. So if you want to try a proof of concept with those specification, it's now the time for that. So I agree of this term about specific services or products because of the new needs and opportunities that this challenge have raised.
Do you think that your local government help you in this like challenging period, or if they could do more?
I think our government is complicated. In local, but also in national, I think. Well, all governments are struggling a little bit because, or a lot, maybe not a little bit, because it's not so clear all the different. How to say, not so clear all the priorities, but these are really challenging times. So I think everyone is trying to give their best. There are different programs from the governments locally and in the nation, trying to help in different in different boundaries, not only in the health sector, but also a little bit from, well, a lot from the business side also. But I think we, not only governments, but also private sector and academic sector, we are trying to understand at the same time that we are trying to implement. So it's quite tricky to know actually what is going to be the best at the long term. But I think everyone in their own place is trying to change and do the best in this time that is challenging us.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It takes time, and it takes time, and they are not able to help all the companies at the same time in 1.5 months. They are not rich enough, and somehow you are always a bit alone when you are an entrepreneur. So you have to face this situation. You have to prepare yourself for this situation in any case. Then helps might be coming in the future. We can profit of them. but it takes time. There are a lot of different companies with a lot of different situations. Many are in worse situation than us, needs more help. Many are smaller. So I believe you have to help yourself and you have to help the other entrepreneurs. So when you are an entrepreneur, you have to pay your suppliers and try to pay them, and your client has to pay you. That's what has to be happening in the near future for all of us, and that's our responsibility. Then the government have to help you, but the timing is not the same timing that you can expect.
And something that is happening in different states, like in local governments, for example, in here, there is the youth secretary, and also in Guadalajara is the innovation secretary, right? And something we have done is to partner with them in specific programs or in a specific. So it's like, for example, in here with the youth secretary, we are kind of designing some experiences and mentorship. So it's all without any kind of charge or anything like that. It's just everyone trying to give some of their time and some of their experience to younger entrepreneurs, for example, and they are kind of a center part of managing that program. And also, for example, in Guadalajara with the innovation secretary, they are also working a program with also the entrepreneurship area, also to try to give some tools. So I know some of these programs locally, and it's like a way to try to give the entrepreneurs and the ecosystem more support right now. But so those are things I am aware of. But also this is kind of those are kind of more local programs, right? That are aligned with a more bigger maybe structural strategy. But I agree with Daniel. We have to start. We have to do what we can do. And for example, something that has happened, I think in Italy too, there is a lot of private community, like the makers community, for example, that they started to join in order to help to give some of the medical devices, like this, how to say this, yeah, masks and things like that. So they suddenly started this movement, and then some of the different governments start to help. But it's quite interesting how things just started, and everyone start to add something to that venture in order to help.
That's a great answer from both of you. And it's very interesting how so many miles or kilometers away we have similar responses to the same from the government, from the academia and the private industry. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's definitely something that it's surprising, and it's something to keep a look, because I'm sure more and more countries, more and more nations are going through similar problems. And we've learned to live in a global community. Again, bringing out to Startup Grind, we are a global community with a presence in the whole world, in China, in Italy, in Europe, like we have in Latin America. And we are joining our efforts, and to see that the efforts that our own communities are being replicated, it just talks about how much or how many similarities we do have. We're reaching to the point of Q&A for anyone who is connected to our stream. And I know we have 2 questions to begin with.
Yeah, 3 questions. The first is this one.
It's from Flavio Comignano.
Yes.
Yeah. The question is, the situation is completely different from the normal one. Could it be a chance of change in new economic commercial access between Italy and Mexico? What do you think?
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the moment, let's say, every company is not really concentrated in going into new markets. At the moment, we are all concentrating in keeping our markets alive. It's true that there might be some occasions to do some incremental business related to the situation, but I would not talk about this in an economical way or in a commercial way. It's a matter of, it might be a matter of cooperation between countries, not of sales for companies. Then, of course, Mexico is already an interesting market for Italy.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this file, but in this field. But I agree with Daniel about. I don't know about this all commercial. I think that this time presents some opportunities, but I also think we can rethink of this interchange of maybe experiences, maybe information, maybe of reinventing business models more than just thinking about a commercial transaction. So I wouldn't know about this commercial transaction economics. I believe that there are different opportunities, but as Daniel said, maybe the focus of the companies are in different markets. I won't know about that, but I would think that we can exchange experiences, we can exchange information, we can exchange way of solving problems. So maybe in the intangible attributes, we can find something interesting. We could find something interesting.
Okay, we have another question. Laura and Daniele, in your opinion, what's the most important lesson that a startup can learn from the current situation? From Federica.
Laura?
Okay, well, I will say, I don't know if you agree, Daniel, but I think you have kind of two big options. Or you try to survive, or you try to transform. So depends a little bit. If you try to survive, maybe you have to adapt in some organizational things, and maybe just try to do the best with your resources, and it's more like an efficiency. Or maybe you start to transform yourself and your organization, and in this on what Daniel told, I think it's a great example how he managed to divide the company and suddenly start to attend another market, if I understood correctly. So I think startups can spot opportunities and see if they can transform, and also it's a great time to interact digitally, well, and prove new concepts and new products. So I would say that's the opportunity that startups have.
Yeah, for me, the flexibility, of course. So being able to make a team without staying in the same office, a clear leadership, and leadership means group of leaders, if possible. So if you can grow your startup, and organization, of course, and financial independence, to be able to face, unexpected happenings, because this was not in any budget of any company. So it's very important to try to build some extra strength to face situations that you cannot imagine. So that's very important.
Okay, we have another question. Here he is, Flavio again. A pandemic situation could be a new period for new startups all over the world, especially in our countries, Italy and Mexico.
Yeah, I will say it is. Let me try to phrase it in a different way. I think that what we are learning is that we can have a global point of view of solving problems. So if we have a global point of view on solving problems, and if we see that right now there are some problems, then you can start, of course, a new startup. If you actually find something interesting to solve and to try to create a solution to those problems. I think the risk is to try to give a product or a service that maybe right now it doesn't make sense. But if it makes sense, if you are solving something that's worth it and creating value, in my opinion, you can start doing that if you find that kind of spot. Of course, it's going to be not easy, but entrepreneurs never have an easy path. So I think with that mindset, maybe it could. We are running right now different programs, and entrepreneurs are finding opportunities, and they are testing their ideas right now of these challenges that they are aware now that they can solve. So it's interesting, yeah.
I think that it's a good time to open an online shop for selling wine, of course, for home delivery. And then, there are some changes there are some things that are becoming more important than before. So if somebody can make a business out of this, or it has a good idea to make an efficient way of delivering something that has been changing, like understanding how many people is into a room, or measure the air quality, or that's our business. But like in my business, there can be similar ideas in all the other applications. Of course, there is an emerging need. So of course you can open a startup on several emerging needs at the moment. The market is a little bit slowing down. So at the moment, it's not the best for going around and sell it. But yeah, it can be an idea.
That is definitely great. We're reaching to that time of this fireside chat, but we don't want to leave before you sharing some comments or any final advice for the entrepreneurs. As you know, our audience are startups or entrepreneurs, are people who, just like you and we all, are struggling to maintain our business or even to Kickstarter without non-existent market. So what would you say to these entrepreneurs for these difficult situations? What's your best advice, putting yourself in their shoes, not having probably the resources that you might have with over 10 years of experience, or a university that has many resources? I know that entrepreneurship is all about being creative.
Yeah.
How? What's the creativity?
I mean, if somebody is not able to face the situation because of financial resources, because they are young, the most important thing is that failure is a part of entrepreneurship. So if you cannot face it at the moment, you were not able to prevent it, you were not able to think about it before, to put it in a budget, it's not your fault, and you cannot do anything. So, and fault is a risk of entrepreneurship. That's one of the, when somebody does something alone, it means that his ego is quite strong and he can go and do it. And so maybe people now is facing a difficult time because they feel guilty or whatever, but that's not the case. I mean, it's a very hard time, and that's a part of the game, I would say. And then stop and restart. So if you have a good team, you can just slow down and accept it, and then you will restart it. And maybe it's an opportunity to do something in a different way and even to make it better.
Also, that's very true, and that's very, yeah, I think it's, as you say, it's the best time to fail because it's expected not to succeed. There's a difficult time. So as an entrepreneur, it's a very positive way of seeing the journey of entrepreneurship. So that's good. What about you, Laura? Any advice for the entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I will say that, for example, hearing to Daniel, there are kind of three things that we believe that are part of the entrepreneurship mindset. One of those is being able to fail and recover fast of that failure. The other one is to have this mindset of to be able to spot opportunities, to see opportunities in the problems. And the other one is how you are kind of creative with the resources. And resources is not like only the financial resources, but also, as Daniel tell, like people, connections, these intangible resources. So I think that right now is a good time to start something that solves a real problem, and we have a lot of problems facing right now, right? So it's the time that we need a lot of creativity, a lot of entrepreneurs, and not only the entrepreneurs from the point of view that you are going to make a new venture, but also entrepreneurs inside already established companies, already established maybe different institutions, already established universities, a restaurant, things like that, because with this mindset, maybe you can help your own organization to transform in this time that it is needed, right? So this mindset is something needed, although it's good for if you want to start a venture, but also I think it's a good mindset to confront these different challenges in a way that we can learn, create value, and continue growing as humans, maybe, right? Because it's these connections, the reflections about what is important or not, what will we like to do or not, what we want to solve, and also you mentioned, Daniel, the environment and all those different reflections that now that we are having this time suddenly are getting into us. So my advice will be, try it, and if you can make this a better place, I think entrepreneurship and innovation is a great mindset to try that. And as Daniel said, it's something that you can achieve better in a team. So a team is important, collaboration is important, be humble, it's important, so you can have a better path, a better venture, and be open to learn from everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And unfortunately, we have come to the end of this night chat. And I think that we got many tips to face these incredible moments of history. And I would like to thank to Laura and Daniele for dedicating part of their time to us. And I would like to ask you if you have any contact, like social media profile, email.
Sure. Can I put it in here, or how do you do that?
I can write it.
Well, it's my email is just laura.segarra@tech.
Laura.segarra. Oh, it's Spanish.
Laura.segarra at tech.
Okay, yeah.
.mx.
MX.
Mm-hmm. So you can.
.com.
No, instead of com is .mx.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Instead of .com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can write me there. There is also my LinkedIn that it's almost the same, Laura Segarra. And if I can help you in anything, please contact me.
Okay. And Daniele, what about you?
Yeah, I wrote you a message. It's daniele.caso, CASO, @electron.com, 2EEELECTRON.
Okay.
And whatever, you can reach me.
Okay, I will copy them in the chat. Okay, I think that I'm done. Okay, yes. So we would like to thank all the audience and also you two, Laura and Daniele, for this really amazing time. I learned a lot and I think Martin too. And I would like to thank also Martin for inviting me and like for this amazing collaboration. I think that this is a great time to do this kind of thing and like to make more connection between us. So really, I'm so thankful.
Thank you so much for your time and keep grinding, keep doing.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ciao.